Hey guys, welcome to the Neglected Podcast. This podcast is not to change your mind, but to invite you into somebody else's narrative. This is a podcast to give a voice to the neglected. It is also an opportunity for all of us to engage.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Neglected Podcast. My name is Nick Schultz. You can hit me up at Schultzy Time. We are at For the Neglected. We are here at City Church. Thanks for hosting us. And we have a special producer today. We have producer Skinny Rick, also known as Isaac, producing over there. Quinn's got his mentee and his side man over there. So we're going to see how it goes today. It's my first time with you, though, so I'm excited. I'm sure it'll go fantastic. Yeah. And my special guest for the day is a Mr. Jason Bailey. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm really excited for you to share your life and your story. And, you know, we're good friends. And you have done a lot for me and my family. Specifically with volunteering. I've asked you to do things you weren't comfortable with and teach and go out of your comfort zone, and you've always been willing and said yes, and anytime I've needed you, you've been there. But even just like you are mad skill car mechanic, just awesome mechanic, and like you've used that as a way to give back or almost form of ministry. Just I'm sure to a lot of people, but specifically my family, especially when we're fostering or we had a newborn. Well, especially when we were fostering, we had a van that just had so many horrible circumstances.
The golden calf.
Yeah, the gold. Yeah, you know well. But I mean, we had just horrible things happen, and you would get out of your way to come help us. Whether my door told you my door wasn't opening or fell off, or we were evacuating for a hurricane with 4 kids. One was a newborn and 2 foster girl toddlers, and we broke down on a highway, and I'm calling you, and you were even willing to maybe come drive for a couple hours to rescue us. And I was like, well, the fire department's coming to help us, so you're okay. But you've just been a tremendous blessing to our family and helping us in ways that we had to have, or we wouldn't have been able to get through stuff. So I thank you for that. And I'm also excited for your story too, to share some things that you've gone through, because I think it's going to be really powerful and helpful for other people to hear it. So let's get rolling, baby.
All right.
All right, man. Well, how about just give us a little picture of where you grew up, how you grew up, what your family dynamic was like, or the area you were at, and kind of how that molded you a little bit when you were a youngster.
I'm a native of Savannah, back when there were still dirt roads. Okay, so that was pretty neat growing up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had a creek in the backyard, so we were able to do crabbing. A lot of stuff you don't hear a lot about in Savannah nowadays. Mm-hmm. I had a mother and father. My father, his brother, and my brother had Marfan syndrome, which is heart malfunction, giant man syndrome almost to a sense. Okay. Enlarged palates, height. I got the mama syndrome. Okay. My father was 7 foot. My uncle was 6'6", and my brother was 6'4".
That's crazy. Because how tall are you?
I'm like 5'9".
Your dad was 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That made for awesome adventures, you know. Back in the early 80s, they were coming up with a new valve to replace for his heart, because that was one, I can't remember which valve it was. Mm-hmm. But that valve was severely affected by this syndrome. Okay. So they had a first design valve to put in. They put that in, and the valve took, but his body didn't receive it well. And he wasn't in enough health to survive a heart transplant. Mm. Okay. So that was around when I was 5 or 6, when the initial surgery took place at Johns Hopkins. They found out everything that was happening, and basically he died for 2 years. It was just a slowly,
and
demise.
You could physically see that happening, or it was just happening on the inside?
You could physically see it. I mean, his weight would, just start going down, skin color start, going pale, energy, obviously. And then March 27th, 1987, my mom woke me up, with tears in her eyes saying, Daddy's dead. Being 8 years old, I thought she was talking about her dad, because I've never heard my mother, say dad, unless it's her father. Right. So initially I thought it was my grandfather. And then I hear my brother in the next room, and he's just, bawling and just freaking out. So I start to realize, okay, this is my dad, And we walked down the hallway, and there's EMS everywhere, and he died on the couch. My mother woke up, his chest was bruised. Well, basically, it was a blood puddle, where the valve just stuck
burst.
open,
Oof.
so he internally bled out.
And nobody heard it? It was like while he was sleeping or
Right,
something?
yeah, it was in a sleep.
Wow.
It wasn't, when I say blood puddle, it didn't like burst out and,
Right,
gory
right.
horror story internally,
Yeah.
bled internally.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 years old, seeing your father,
Yeah.
room full of EMS and everything else. And props to the EMS at that time, because you could hear them saying there's children coming.
Mm-hmm.
So they were trying, to obviously protect. You don't want your kids seeing something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't break down till the funeral. I'm 8 years old. I don't know.
What did your dad mean to you when, even before he died? Like
Before, my dad was awesome. Like I said, 7 foot, being 7 foot tall, you got to see things from a different perspective, pun intended. He was there, he worked at night shift, down in Jacksonville as a computer programmer for a company. So every morning before school, we'd wake up, there'd be breakfast ready, and he would help, like first grade, spelling test. You had X amount of words you had to get on point.
Mm-hmm.
Every day before school came, we went over it, and he would give me goals. Like, if you get 100 on it, I'm giving you $1, So that racked up pretty good. That was fun. We were always, we were doing something. We would have, Sunday dinners with my family,
Mm-hmm.
my grandparents, and my uncle that lived, 2 houses down. Every other Sunday, we'd all get together, have a nice table out in the backyard, My mom, my dad was doing good with it, so my mom basically retired and helped out, volunteered in the school, in the computer lab. She always had I can remember there was a different smile. Everything was good,
Right.
or as good as, how you perceive it. But we were okay. Everything was going good. My mom was obviously happy. My dad was doing his thing. It worked well. And then after his passing, there were issues with finances. Taxes not being paid. Okay. So there was talks, to get the fines or, the money owed situated. He died, and now the big ball started rolling. Okay, we got to have the money, or we're taking everything,
Mm-hmm.
So any savings, any, money set aside for my brother and I, that was obviously gone. Family members chipped in. We were able to keep the house. So we had that, so basically we wasn't homeless, but we were flat broke. So my mother had to go back to work, and we had to build from there.
So let's take it from where you're at, from what you can remember at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You're for all intents and purposes a happy family. Like,
Yeah.
For what you need and where you're at in life, like it's good.
It's good.
Your dad passes away pretty tragically. You have to be there, see it. We haven't even talked about how you did deal with it. I mean, you said you broke down at the funeral, but just like even how you're beginning to process that, or what now you realize I'm missing because my father isn't in the picture. Right. And your brother's got to deal with it, and your mom, who was stay at home, happy, joyful, now has no husband, financial burdens, big time, has to work, and 2 kids that lost their father, and that pretty picture
Turns
is
into a nightmare.
dramatically torn up now. And so what is that? I know you can't speak for everybody in the family, but from what you saw, and especially from your viewpoint, what then starts happening that you start going through?
I kept to myself a lot. I was a very happy-going kid. I enjoyed I enjoyed living, you know. My grades were good, so on and so forth. And looking back now, you know, second grade, it just started going to pot, you know. I didn't care about it. You know, it wasn't important to me, you know. I enjoyed fixing stuff, you know, from a young age. I don't know why. I just do. You know, I love tinkering. The house we grew up in, that the gentleman built before we bought it, he was into boats. So there was a huge boathouse in the backyard. So that was my place. That was where I got to tear stuff apart and put it back together. And Mom, I'm sorry for taking your bike and turning it into a lowrider.
So this was like your therapy a little bit then too, possibly?
Yeah. You know, that's exactly what it was. It kept me busy. It kept my mind,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
You know, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. So I pointed more towards that. You know, schoolwork, okay, you know, just didn't bother. It didn't interest me.
Mm-hmm.
So summer school and failing, and then having the opportunity to get moved to your right grade, I just kind of went through with that. Yeah, 11 years old, I had my first joint, because there were people around my brother. They like to do stupid stuff at times, you know, and that's what, let's get your little brother stoned, you know. That really wasn't a gateway to anything, you know. I didn't go through, you know, severe drug use or anything else. You know, just, I didn't want it, you know. It wasn't a thing for me.
Did you have any other men that you either tried to step in your life or you gravitated towards after your father was gone?
Yeah, my uncle, you know, he was a good man. You know, he tried to take part. He tried to somehow fill an unfillable void.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know, and he did. He got with me. You know, we were trying to do stuff together, and then there were other issues outside of that to where he had to back off. You know, I don't hold any resentment towards him. You know, I don't really hold any resentment towards anybody. My grandparents, they were old. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. You know, you can't, you know, I don't blame them. I'm not mad at them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crying about that they wasn't able to do something. You know, I think we all try to do what we think is right and try to do something, you know.
So what did you want to do then? You're growing up without a dad. You're tinkering with stuff. You don't like school.
Yeah, I wanted to be a stuntman. So I have the aching bones and whopped up back to. That's my award for it.
Like a Tom Cruise body double or something?
Yeah, you know, just jumping stuff and, you know, wrecking cars and jumping off buildings and stuff. You know,
Okay.
the fun stuff.
But you didn't do that.
No, I did.
You did?
I did.
You became a stuntman, or you just did all that
No,
stuff?
I acted like a, you know, I trained jumping off the
You didn't
the
get
house.
paid for it, but you
I didn't
trained
get paid
it.
for it. It was an internship of, you know.
Okay, so that's pretty funny actually.
You know.
But what did you decide to do after high school? Did you want to do anything? Did you want to go to college? Did you have a career in mind besides stunt work?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was always mechanically inclined.
Mhm.
You know, obviously being broke, somebody's got to fix the cars because the shops are kind of pricey.
Yeah.
You know, so that helped out. I took the VOTEC course as opposed to the college prep course, and took automotive, and I excelled in that. You know, because that's
You like it?
I
You're
like
good
it.
at
Yeah. So I took them there and started working at different shops, and then started working at dealerships. And the goal in mind, as I got to thinking about it, I was going to leave town. I was going to graduate, throw my tools in the back of the truck, and head out. You know, just travel, be able to see all the things. And we didn't have Instagram back then, you know. And up to that point, you know, I lost a really good friend at 17. Yeah, I don't know, man. That neighborhood, it's got a way of eating you, almost. to a sense. You know, he had some things that were going through or whatever, and you know, I get a phone call from another friend that he's gone. So at 17, we're burying somebody we all grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
How'd you take that the same or differently when your father died?
I took it as we need to live. You know, my girlfriend at the time, now ex-wife, you know, we did our stupidity stuff and wasn't allowed to see each other, you know, during all this high school years. And it's just like, you know, this just ain't right. We need to, we got to figure this out. You know, we loved each other, you know, or what we thought love was, I guess, as a teenager. And it's just like, you know, something's got to change. Something's not right. You know, something's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
I went through the motions as far as working and trying to learn the skill and get better at it. But there was just always a fog, you know, and that kind of covered everything. I was a very reactive powder keg mentality. You know, I could take and take and take, and then we're done, you know, and all hell breaks loose. So I get a phone call in 99, you know, I'm pregnant, you know, so I'm 19 years old. Like, okay, you know, it's time to man up. You know, I'm not going to take this child and just, you know, I got better things to do. You know, I have what I want to do in life and walk away. You know, be responsible. You know, you make it work, and you raise that child. Don't screw their head up.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Did you want to be a dad? I mean, you might not have been ready at that point, but did you want to be a dad, or did you just?
You know, like I said, the woman I'm now divorced to, you know, growing up, we both had, you know, screwed up backgrounds in childhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that was who I chose. That was the love of my life. That's who I wanted to live the rest of my life with. Have kids, have that family, have those pictures that you see or that you think of, man, that's all right. Not perfection, but they got it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and time, you know, as time went on, it just proved more and more how much we didn't have it together. And again, you know, I was a very reactive person. I could take and take and take and try to work through things, and just it didn't end well.
Especially in marriage.
Especially in marriage, you know, it has a way of revealing you, I guess.
Well, where you're at. How much do you think that was a result of just everything that you had to stuff inside, and what it made you do even when your father died, and then your friend died, and obviously not dealing with like, hey, I'm going to counseling, or I'm talking about these things, and it's just stuff like you said, putting it in, and then like either you say something or I can't handle something anymore, and it's just, man, this isn't healthy right now.
It was just, you know, an inevitable, you know, explosion waiting to happen. You know, I didn't know how to work through things properly. You know, you can try all you want. You can try to be calm, you know, but when there's an itchy trigger, then you start a yelling contest, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how all of these things, you know, piled on top of each other would affect your daily life, you know. And it was just a constant buildup. My ex-wife's family was brutally murdered, and
like when you say family, like
her mother and her sister, back in April 10th, April 11th, 2002.
Wow.
So 6 months after 9/11.
So you said 2002, and you had your first child in 1999, and then did you get married anytime after that?
Yeah,
or?
we got married in 99.
Okay, so you got married in 99.
98, sorry.
Got married in 98, you had a child in 99.
Right.
And then her mother and sister get murdered in 3 years later.
Yeah.
While you're still
While
this powder keg of emotion and
right, while
dealing with
everything
those.
is, but wait, there's more,
Yeah,
Just-
there usually is, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, and that, that just took everybody, because the way it happened was just, you don't wish that on anybody.
Really. And I don't need details, but was
no.
it like an accidental thing, or was
No,
it
it was
very
on-
premeditated?
I actually talked to the dude that did it. When I found out, when I got the call, I left work and parked off to the side trying to get to the property where the house was burnt down at. There was some dipshit out there, and initial thought was just somebody wanting to be on TV. So he's sitting there, chomping his jaw, and I'm not trying to hear it, and they escort me back to the area, and I'm just like, can y'all do something about this dipshit out here running his mouth? And then they find out who it was, and it was him and another guy.
Holy cow.
It's just like,
Were they close to the family and they knew him, or what?
I'm not going to go into it because
Yeah,
I don't want
that's
to.
fine.
I don't want to bring.
Yeah. Let's keep it. Let's keep it
keep
on this path.
Yeah, let's
That's
keep
fine.
it. But I mean, everything was there. There was nothing. Everything was destroyed. They were killed. They were burnt in the house. So then you have to go through the motions of sitting in court, and looking at these two people. It's just, and you have to sit there, And what they do in a case like this is, in order to prevent chaos happening in the courtroom, they have to show you pictures that they're going to display. All right. So you're looking at, your family members
Right.
at their state of how they were found. Yeah. That's a hell of a pill to swallow. So yeah, again, that takes another toll on people. I stayed up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at nights, so that my wife, could go to sleep peacefully because she was scared. Okay, do what you got to do, make it work. So 3 or 4 hours of sleep, go to work, come home, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
You try to do the right thing. Even if you don't know what it is, figure it out.
And then you have another kid, right? You have two.
Yes.
2 daughters.
2 daughters. In 2005.
Okay.
Nope, 2003. Sorry.
That's all right.
I get it mixed up
you can
every
say
time.
whatever you want. I don't know.
Yeah. yeah. They are my child.
Yeah. And when? Okay, you've got the 2 daughters together, and then when does the relationship?
Obviously we didn't have the best relationship. We were always arguing about something, being 2 kids with no experience, there's finances, there's this, there's that, okay, we need money. Okay, so I'll work. Why aren't you here? This, and just it smorgasbord.
Yeah.
Never really came to a stopping point to where we could get this figured out. So all that added in. Let's see here.
Did you want it to end?
I didn't want the marriage to end. I had a lot of emotions, and I said a lot of things I wish I could take back, and it was out of emotions. I thought sometimes I wanted it to end. I thought that I didn't love her, That's the thing, when you can't process crap, you blurt out crap in, crap out. You blurt something out, that you don't mean, but you can't take it back, So that didn't help, and I'm ashamed of where I got to, as all this chaos went on.
Were your girls at an age where they're old enough where they were like, you could see the effects happening on them, or were they still pretty young?
They were still pretty young. They were always, happy. They would say, "Please stop fighting." There at the last. And then it finally, more things happened. There was an affair. It got to the point to where nobody communicated. I left for Marietta to go for training, and I'm taking a shower, and I look down, and I got herpes. Like, what the hell is this? No communication. Now, a day or two later, whenever I get back, my wife starts having symptoms of it. So you would think, okay, I went to Marietta and did something, and I didn't. I thought about it. Just okay, let's go do something. Whatever, it is what it is. Whatever. And I failed at that. It's just like I'm not doing it. This just ain't the way to go. Now, given that situation, who in the hell is going to believe somebody with just that alone? So we went, and got her checked out. And the doctor was just like, this is not an issue of, adultery or anything else, any one of you doing something. This is a matter of contact. One of y'all already had it. Y'all did something, and now here we are. Because it was not, some outrageous case. It was a very absolute minimal thing. So then you have that in the back of your head, and then you find out, that there was an affair. This piece of shit, was a smooth one. You walk in, oh, your husband's a dipshit. Tell me all about it.
A crying shoulder.
Yeah. So that went on, and I knew something was going on, but I couldn't. I was condensed. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say what I was feeling. I couldn't even start a conversation. But it showed up in arguments. It made the arguments worse. And then it finally got to a point we had a knockdown, drag out, and she confessed to me that's what was going on, and I pulled it out of her. So okay, now we need to get this figured out. Now we need help. Now we need to seek counseling. It wasn't that we were too far gone. We were too far gone in our routes, because counseling here and there, no real major results. And like I said, a reactive powder keg mentality. One night, we were just, you could cut the animosity with a knife. It was that thick. She said something and I went off, and, she started throwing hands. I'm not going to hit a woman. I'm not going to put my hands on a woman. If she has a knife or a gun, okay, that's a different story. I'm just not doing that. So I ended up having to call the cops to be able to leave. The kids were in bed. They slept through the whole thing.
Wow.
Cops came, I got my stuff and left. Slept in the parking lot of where I was working that night, and a lot of people tried to intervene, you two are really screwed up, we got to figure out how to get y'all help. So we went to another counseling, and it's just like, I need help. I don't know how to process this. Something's wrong. And it led from there, and it probably, I don't know, maybe three months into it, she's like, I'm done. That was 2009. She's like, I'm going to my grandmother's. and I'm taking the kids, you know. So a year went by, and a bunch of shit talking, you know. If you find somebody that's locked in a cage and you poke them with a stick, why not? Fair game, right? And that tore me up, because again, this was the love of my life, you know. In the midst of all this stupidity, you know, that was still my wife. That was still the mother of my children, you know. No matter what happened, that was still my wife.
You still cared about her?
I still cared about her because I knew the background, all right? Just because you think you know somebody, or you have a first impression, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're not. You know, you try to look past, you find out more. Because when you find out more about people, then you start being able to understand a little bit better, you know. But how I did things, it didn't work, you know. And the baggage that I was carrying did not help. So it ended. You know, I tried to stay in church. You know, we had been baptized in 2007, and that was kind of when everything just went to hell in a handbag, like really kicked into high gear. So just a constant revolving door of crap.
So how low did it actually get for you? And at what point was it? What is it?
My lowest,
While you were together, afterwards, when the girls were gone, they were all gone, or?
You know, there was always, you know, bickering about this and that, you know. Again, I would react. So I finally started, you know, just, I got to figure this crap out. I got to start putting things in place and making ground rules for myself. And the thing with emotions, you know, let's talk about it on Facebook. Let's claim Jesus on Facebook and, you know, yada, yada, yada. You know, wield a sword that's a pool noodle, you know. I decided, screw it, I'm going into business. I'd already cussed out different managers at the time at different jobs, you know, just walked off this because this ain't right. I'm not doing this crap. Started the business, you know, that, and looking back, that was to prove myself to others, you know, and just like, screw all of y'all, I'm doing this. I can do this. You can all kiss my ass, you know. I'm going to show you, you know. Gave away free ammunition on that one, you know. So tried to have another relationship, and in that state, you don't realize your ass does not need to be in a relationship. And that obviously went to hell in a handbag, you know. And it was always the attitude of things that got me, you know. It's just like, how the hell are we doing this? How is this okay? But I had no way to process it. I had no way to work it through. That was my biggest demon, I guess, that stayed. And that was just, you know, everybody's one bad day away from a disaster, you know. So in 2013, I had enough, you know. I was broken beyond measure. I knew my daughters would be better off without me. And I couldn't do anything about anybody's browbeating, anybody's attitude, anybody's words against me, you know. And it's just like, you know, God, how the hell can you let this, especially in church, how is this gonna make any sense? How, you tell me how in the hell I'm trying my best. I asked for help and I don't feel like I got it. Maybe I'm wrong. My head was in a very, very messed up place at the time. There are people in place that have a heart of gold that were trying to help in their own way, the only way they knew how. And I'm very thankful for those people, you know. But it was just the attitude of others, you know. And it's just like, I'm sitting here dying in this effing pew, and y'all just having popcorn, you know? Like, well, what do I got to do here? You know, do I have to drop a large sum of money to, get attention, be a certain way, look a certain way? What the hell, man? So that affected my view of God. I felt like, just like, all right, I am what they say I am, and I went off the rails, But 2013, I sat there and I walked into my house. It was pitch black dark, and I pulled up a chair and I grabbed a knife out of the kitchen drawer, pulled a trash can over to put my hand over it, because I didn't want to leave another mess for somebody to clean up, And I battled with that for hours, and I passed out. And I woke up the next morning, and it was still there.
So you were gonna slit your wrists,
slit the wrist, and drain out and be done.
And you didn't actually do it, or you did start to and then passed out?
I've never felt the pain like that before when I tried to do it. And when I finally put that blade on my wrist, I've been beat to hell and back. I've been caught on fire. I've been cut, broken, bruised, whatever, And I've never felt a pain like that before in my life.
Really? Do you think it was just the physical pain, or was like all the intense emotional, mental, like all of it was just on that specific thing, and it was just all that weight?
Yeah, might have been. Kind of all starts to pile in.
Yeah.
So I tried and I tried. I never broke the skin, but I had, had marks. And I threw the knife over. And I had words with God that I'm not going to repeat, So I called 911. It's like, I'm going to get the damn help I need. I can't process anything.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So the EMS came, took me to Memorial, and they did an intake there. The doctor comes in, starts talking to me, and they asked me, how long have you been hearing voices? And I'm, something like that. It is physically, spiritually, and mentally exhausting. I mean, I guess, I don't know, run as fast as you can and then have a gun to your head to run twice that length, and see how you feel about the end of it. I guess that's the best way I can explain that. Just done. And that scared me. I'm not hearing voices. I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy, And one of the pastors, I made contact and told him, just like, I'm not going to be able to serve today. I tried to hurt myself, and that person showed up, and that said a lot, because like I said, when your eyes only see that everybody thinks you're a piece of shit, what else are you to expect, But that person showed up, and we talked, and I'm just like, I'm not one for drugs. I was like, but if it's going to clear, then, load my ass up, or bring it on. So I spent 3 days in observation, and the intake nurse there. And later that day, I just had my appointment with her. Just like, I think I'm okay now. I'm not feeling like I want to off myself. I don't know what I am, but I don't feel like I don't want to die. The lady looked at me and was like, you're not going anywhere till I think you're okay to go anywhere. Point blank. Just like, okay, So you go through the channels, you strip down to your undies, and you have two people looking at you, looking for tattoos, scars, different things. I guess if you break out, they know how to find you, know who you are. So after the 3 days, wake up and there's like 10 more people in there. Same thing, trying to off themselves. Somebody called or they called, whichever. So they give me prescriptions. I don't even remember what it was. And then, here's your pills, here's your papers, show up to this place for counseling. May the odds be ever in your favor, But that same nurse looked at me, and just like, you do not ever want to come here again. You're damn right I don't, So we go through that. Counseling wasn't, not knocking anybody who's trying to do something positive. It just wasn't doing anything for me. So about 2 weeks into all this, I caught myself staring out the window, almost like a zombie mode, something of which I'd gotten to the point of before all this, just staring out the window, nothing. It's just like, the pills were helping, I could focus a little more. Still never got to the root cause of things. So picked up my kids for the weekend. They didn't know what was going on. They were too young. I'm not, hey kids, your dad tried to off himself. That's not a conversation you have with young children. You know what I mean? So you wait till you can figure out a better way to, when they're older and better able to understand. So the next morning, 10:30 a.m., I'm woken up to my youngest daughter crying on the phone with my mother, saying, Daddy won't get up, And I'm coming to and I'm hearing this, I'm like, who are you talking to? It's like, I'm talking to Nana, It's like, give me the phone. And I, talked to my mom, I was like, look, I'm up. She's like, what is going on with you? I'm like, I got this, So I hung up the phone with her. I told my daughters, like, go into the kitchen. I'll get breakfast going for you. And I sat there. Again, my view of God was, I'm a piece of shit. I'm null and void from him wanting anything to do with me,
So you're starting to think that way again?
Well, not so much as I sat there and I said, God, you're either going to have to fight with me, for me, or against me. But this is bullshit. I mean, that's the brutal honesty, Sorry, this can't be a Hallmark moment. I was tired. I was just like, this, something has got to stop. This is not okay. So I picked up the pills and I threw them in the trash. And I contacted the pastor that showed up, and I told that person, it's just like, I threw my pills in the trash. And the reply was, I thought they were working. I was like, they are. I don't expect anybody to not have walked on eggshells in that time of my life, because I was freaking out there. It was just somebody shoot this poor boy down,
And this is not too long ago, right?
Yeah, this was 13.
13 going on.
It's lasted. I sat there for about the better part of 13 and just kind of went just like, we got to figure this out. And so I was sitting there and I had to go back to the counseling thing. Like, I wonder, so I walked back in, talked to the lady. I'm just like, I don't want to die. I don't want to kill myself. Oh, you don't? That's great. Here you go. You're done.
That was it, huh?
I was like, I didn't tell you I got off my medication. I didn't tell you, 'cause that's the biggest thing with mental, medications. Don't get off the medications. Do not just throw them away, Now, given that it was only, 2 weeks, maybe that was better, but I will not tell anybody to just throw your medications away. That's just not, I do not give anybody permission to do that.
So was it Was it rainbows and sunshine as soon as you walked out of there and you were off medication? You said, I don't want to kill myself, or what did you have to work through in order to kind of get to where you're at now?
Yeah, it was a daily workout. You know, it was sitting there trying to get this figured out, trying to hold everything together for my children. And when, you know, I did that one in my marriage. You know, I didn't get it right, you know, but it's always been, don't screw your kids' heads up. You know, they have a life. You want them to have better and do better than you did. Ended up getting on food stamps for 3 months. And if you don't have custody of your kids, that's like, you know, $50 a week, something like that, something very minimal. So I would save that for when I had them. Like, okay, now we're going to get, you know, your breakfast, get your food. In the midst of all that, you know, I get on the computer and I'm start trying to understand, you know, being diagnosed with anxiety, depression, anxiety. I can't remember which one. We're trying to understand this, you know, what is it? And then, you know, I'm reading articles where people have not, you know, been able to put their finger on exactly what causes all this. You know, maybe that's, you know, that's 7 years ago. Maybe there's different stuff now. So I started looking in, you know, it's like, how much protein does it take for the brain to operate? You know, obviously it's a mental issue. Mental is brain. Let's find the science behind it, you know? So I started focusing on that. You know, all right, let's figure out what is brain healthy food, and let's go with that. See what that does. Still having that revolving door of emotions and memories and everything else, just trying to work through things. And then September, I think it was September of 2013, I was on a retreat. And a guy spoke about abiding. Yeah. And the way he put it, you know, was very eye-opening for me. You know, like I said, okay, I'm here. It's a, you know, a religious retreat. You know, I still feel what I feel, but I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're not going to do anything. Nothing will get accomplished if you're not abiding. You know, that doesn't mean you're a holy roller, you have no sin, yada, yada, yada. You know, if you're not abiding in me, you're not going to get anywhere. And I sat there and I thought real hard about it. And that night, you know, I pulled out my notebook and I started writing out how I felt, you know, because I did so good with it on Facebook, you know. Jesus, I'm sorry, you know. Just good grief. And I started to write it out and I passed out, went to sleep. You know, the guy woke me up a couple hours later. It's like, dude, you're going to be miserable, because I was at a table hunched over, you know, like sleeping in school at a desk. So you had that. It's just like, all right. Broken, hurt, miserable, whatever name you want to use for it, depressed. You always hear, you never would have thought somebody killed themselves. You never thought, they never acted that way, like something was wrong.
Right.
You know? And I think it's because they're wanting to feel just that little glimpse of normal. So they want somebody else to feel good. So they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
They try to be happy. They try to be fun. They try to do something good. But it's an emotion. And emotions don't always stay. Or they always change. So me, and I realize now how much good I tried to do. I wasn't trying to earn anything. I was just trying to do, this is what God wants me to do. Help people, do good things. So I contacted someone about a prayer group, just like, and they knew my history, and I'm just like, I don't want to be prayed for. I want to help. I want to take part. I want to be a part of something that I can do. So I went, and that was a really impactful night. I went home, and there's a dead silence in the house. And I sat there for a minute, and something was telling me, go to your closet. So I sat there and just like, what is this? And I went into my closet, and I sat there, pitch black dark. And I sat there and I'm just like, God, if you're done with me, I accept it. I get it. I don't blame you. That I ain't saying nothing. So, but I'm sitting here. Here I am. If you got something to say, or you need me to say something, then but as far as I'm concerned, here I am. I'm just sitting here and I'm shutting my mouth. Because I had a problem with that. And it took a while. But in the midst of that solitude and darkness, things started coming out. There's a verse that says, search my heart and find whatever is not pleasing. I sat there, I'm just like, you got to get to the root of this. Because this Jason here, 30 some odd years, this is not it. What is the problem here? How did I get to this point? And the things started slowly coming out, and I spoke them. And I had to get through the emotional chaos, all the crap that I went through, all the crap that was said and done, all the craps that I said and did. I had to get a grip on that. And at the end of it, it finally hit me. It's like, you took away my father. No, that was, what the hell? Why did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
We were okay. It wasn't the greatest, but things were together. Things were good. In that sense, what the hell was that for? Why? If you're the God that everybody says, and you can do all these things and everything else, you could have fixed that. You could have fixed my marriage. You could have fixed me like I begged you to for years. But you took away my father and all hell broke loose. And now here I am.
And you're in a dark closet.
I'm in a dark closet.
By yourself.
I'm a grown man in a dark closet by myself talking. And nobody's there.
And looking at that's 30 years.
Yeah.
So, I think you said your dad died when you were 8.
Right.
And here you are, you said you're in 30, maybe 38 or something. Somewhere around there. But it's almost 30 years later.
Yeah.
Have gone through all that stuff. And 30 years later, you're finally at the point where either you finally ask the question to God, or you just finally realize it, release it. And man, it's just an incredible picture, honestly, of what something traumatic can do, not only when we're young, but just continue and follow us through our entire lives, and how we hold on to that. And then when you asked that question, you released that to God, was it like a true release where you
passed out?
You passed out.
I passed out.
Man.
I found peace.
Really?
I found truth. I found Jesus. We tend to have all these expectations, or our vision of what things should be. religion is one thing. Faith is a whole nother. And until you get that worked out, you're actually building faith in the midst of it. Okay? Because you're bringing your heart to God. All right? What relationship do you know that has done well? Well, one person's in control and the other person just has to deal with it.
Not healthy ones.
Just check these off and you're good.
Yeah.
We're not meant for that. That's shutting people down. Why do you see all the chaos in this world now? Because we all have, to an extent, some built up crap that we've just accepted as truth.
Mm-hmm.
Crap in, crap out.
So when you look back on that, your dad passing away, even your friend passing away, and then going to marriage, you have a child, you're in a lot of these unhealthy things are happening during that time, and more death happens, with her family, and then all the emotional things that happen that you hadn't dealt with that are now being dealt with in the marriage. And you look back at it after having that moment in that closet and having peace. Like, I know you have peace now, and at that moment you had peace about it, but were you still upset anymore after that with God or with yourself? And you saw it as a good thing that you went through that because it's now making you who you are and where you're going? Or it's just like, man, that just ruined so much of my life?
No, it was, obviously, there's plenty of things I wish to God I could go back and change.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would act and say and do the way I did. And I'm ashamed of that because growing up, you're told, if you're the man of the house now at 8 years old, at your father's graveside, what is an 8-year-old impressionable mind going to do? It's going to try to be the man of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what the right thing is. Do it. Pull through. It took time. It took me when every door was absolutely shut. Okay? I didn't expect anybody to understand, and trying to explain it, dear God, that's a lot to unload on, and quite frankly, I understand people just kind of like, hey, we'll pray for you,
Yeah.
I get that. There's a difference between concern and condemnation. I woke up the next day, and it's just like, I'm trusting you as best as I can. And that, quite frankly, is one of the best words you can use. As best as I can. Because I don't know anything. I'm wiping everything out. Let's start fresh. I'm trusting you as best as I can. Back in 2000, like I said, when we got baptized, I was working at a dealership that just got destroyed with the economic fallout, and I never really regained it. Went over there, I was talking to one of my buddies that still worked there, and looked at me and said, "You need a job?" I'd done, like I said, cussed a bunch of managers out of different jobs, walked off, just powder keg mentality. When you're raw, you're going to get reactive. And I was like, you know what? I guess I did. Because the business I started went to hell in a handbag because baggage, I sat there and I was always against going back to that place just because, it never rebounded from the economic fallout. Talked to the managers, like, okay, when can you start? It's like, I'll bring my stuff in tomorrow, And again, I started off with, I'm trusting you as best as I can, And, reciting Psalm 23, I guess claiming that as my own, So 3 days in, I think I made like almost 2 hours on commission. The first day, I'd have been raising hell, throwing my tools in the back of the truck and left, because that's stupid. Who in their right mind could work like that? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, that's a sensible, sensible opinion. But I sat there, and just like I told you I would trust you, so I'm trusting you. So many opportunities came to where I had to eat my words, and I said I was trusting you. So here we are. I'm not going to lose my niblets. I'm going to see it through. And it did. And everything started coming slowly together. About a month and a half into it, through that time, I really started focusing on prayer. Which is just talking. There's no special formula. It's a conversation, but with the faith, knowing that there's going to be an answer, whether you like it or not, and you're going to trust it. I sat there, and every time throughout that time, if I started feeling depressed or feeling whatever emotions or whatever fog was coming, I would start praying against it, just in my head. I invite you into it. I invite you into this. It's yours. I told you I gave it to you. I'm reminding myself it's not mine anymore, because you don't want me being this way. And, I said, time went by and I was going down the road, and I was sitting there. It's just like, is this really real? All this, did I just make this up in my head? Did I just finally figure out a way to psych myself out, And then I felt like I was asked, how do I feel? And I almost rode off the road, because I realized that those decades of pin up everything were gone. That I hadn't fell under attack. Mm-hmm. That we were moving forward. I was like, thank you, God. Thank you for not giving up on me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you say that's because you're a few years down the line now of being in that place where you're healthier.
Yeah.
And is there still moments where, hey, I think I'm okay, but no, like this is a daily thing and I have to make sure that I don't, just because life might feel a little bit better,
right.
I still have to check myself daily and not let it go too far.
No matter where you're at in life, you need to check yourself, because we get so easy to get complacent and to get comfortable, I don't feel like I felt, circa 2013.
Yeah.
It has been a steady progression. I've been able to, I can use my head now. The one that was doing so well, in first grade and second grade, let's apply that. Let's make a plan. Let's do something, and I was able to do that in a lot of different areas. I literally had to teach myself how to take the trash out. Back in 2013, I was that far freaking gone.
Wow.
Taking the trash out, something that simple. But it's put the trash in the trash can. Take the trash bag out to the trash bin. It's coming on this day. Why don't you go ahead and put it out? Okay, now let's meet back next week and do the same thing. It was
wow.
That depth of just done. And I had to figure out how to guard my heart with people's attitudes, because again, that was a big thing. I don't want to go around punching people and act like I'm a Billy badass and knock people's teeth out, yada yada yada. It in my mind it would feel really good,
Mm-hmm.
That's just not me,
Mm-hmm.
But I acknowledge the hell that it put me through of trying to, better me than somebody who can't take it.
Yeah. Oh man, I got a couple questions before we kind of end our time, but like one of them was just your daughters, because eventually they get older and they're gonna find out or have found out your story, or they're gonna listen to this if they haven't heard already. But I know they know a lot of it.
Yeah.
And what was that like for you and for them to take them into your journey of what you were going through when they're younger, but what they were you were going through while they were getting older, and how they saw you versus how you were really doing, or they did notice it, and what they what they thought about the things you went through, and because I know they love you.
Yeah.
The bottom line is down the road, I'm getting us to over here, which is right now, for the most part, you are happy and healthy, Jason Bailey.
Yeah.
And you have two wonderful daughters who love you very much. I can see that. I've known that for the past few years. But, they went through stuff too.
Right.
And I'm just interested in how that, just a quick glimpse of what that journey was like as a father for your girls.
As a father, I knew there was going to come a day to where, you're going to find out about this one way or the other, But also, it was a map for me, If I see my daughters acting in a way, and it's like, we're going to nip this in the bud as best as we can. Let's not go, the shit stops here, Let's not have these repeats. And that's tough because we are all our own individual selves. We will have our own personal problems that we got to, figure out our own things on top of everything else that gets thrown at you. I love my daughters very much, and I know that they can succeed in whatever they do. And I want to feed that. That's the seeds I want to plant. That's what I want to nourish. And if there's problems arise, let's work through this. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's not just put a label on it. Okay. My youngest daughter, I now have custody of her. Two broken people. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. She was dropped in my lap, and the way I went through with it was, here's my daughter. Here's all, like an exploded view. Here's all the crap she's got right now. We got to work through this to get back to my daughter, to who I know who she can be, And, we went round and round. We had to get it worked out. Mm-hmm. But it was a never fact of, I am not leaving you.
Yeah.
I'm not, to hell with that. I'm not throwing you to the curb. No. You're here, and I love you. And you're going to call me many names, but we're going to get through this,
mm-hmm.
I just, I hope I did what I could do right,
mm-hmm.
But yeah, they both know, obviously not in specific details and everything else, but they know the brunt of everything.
Yeah.
And the importance of, check yourself,
Yep. And, the other question too is, well, we always end with our guests is that, people can play a role in someone's journey that is like you and have went through those things that you have. And when you look back on it, whether, it's advice for someone when you were a little kid and you lost your father, or you're going through that emotional fallout after that happened, or it's a broken marriage, or it's self-worth or suicide, you've had a lot of traumatic things happen. And when you sit now in a healthier place and look back on it, what can someone else, whether they're a friend like me or there's somebody that just sees it and they're at the church, or they just,
Yeah.
or they're going through themselves. Like, how can you tangibly do something small for someone that has gone through some of the things you have that can make a difference, and then you can build upon it?
I mean, try to be a friend. Don't sugarcoat it. Yeah. There's a time and place to hit something absolute head on. You know, there's so many variables now, and how to approach it. Listen. Try to listen. You may not understand it. You may not completely agree with it. You may think whatever they're going through is completely stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But try to listen. Try and ask the hard questions. You know, what do you think it's going to take? Yeah. How do you think you got to this point? Yeah. Go for a walk. Take your ass outside. Get some sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Walk. You know. Because chances are, you know, especially with depression, you're balled up, you're shut down. You know, you don't want to hear from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can't figure it out, what are they going to know? You know, how do they know what I'm going through? You know, fine, maybe those are facts, but show up, check on them. You know, be involved. Try to be involved.
Yep, it's good. Not just go away because they.
Not just go away because
like they want you to go away.
Because they're not low hanging fruit.
Yep.
You know, it's
messy.
Life is a mess.
Yep.
That's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes you got to take things softly. Sometimes you got to hit crap head on.
Yep.
And you'd be amazed.
Mm-hmm.
Just simple things. It's not an exact science.
Mm-hmm. Man, I appreciate you sharing that. And, you know, for somebody that knows you personally and has heard a lot of this before, you know, a lot of people that see you are a fun loving guy now. Like, you go work on someone's car and, you know, you talk and laugh, and you're willing to talk about real stuff and be vulnerable about what you went through. But you're also, a lot of times people wouldn't know because, hey man, life is precious. Life is good. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. But man, all this 30 years of this, I know I'm here now, but 30 years of this. And, you know, I appreciate you. You know, if you never shared this with me when we were hanging out while you're working on my car.
Well, you know, it's not a topic you really.
No, but again, like when you ask people questions, you spend time with somebody and you decide to go past surface stuff about weather, sports, or just like, you know, what's wrong with the car and like, how are you doing? Which leads into, hey, what was that like when you grew up? I mean, I didn't even know you lost your father when you're 8 years old and how that all happened. Like, you don't bring that up when we're serving together and volunteering together. And anytime you're over, like, it's not something you're just going to go start a conversation with. But when I ask how you're doing and we talk about life and then gets into real stuff, like, then that naturally comes up. Yeah. And then it's a form of you know, a lot of times it's therapy for people to be able to share it too. Sure. Not maybe every single day with every single person, but certain times when you're able to actually have deeper conversations, then it leads to something like this, where now it's going to affect a larger group of people, but you're not going to just raise your hand and be like, hey, I want to come on your podcast and share all the hard things about my life. Yeah. But when you're able to do it first and realize, you know, not just you, but for a lot of people, man, if somebody's willing to sit there and listen to this, now I'm willing to maybe share with other people, and now it can actually be used for some good, some real good, you know. And your life has been used for good, but now with other people hearing it, they can get help that they need because they're dealing with some similar. Man, I know somebody that lost a father, lost a parent, or struggles with this, and it's like, man, I didn't know the depth of it, but how I can just go into their life and make a difference. And you know, that's what's exciting about people being able to share the crap, is that it can help somebody else when they're in their crap.
They're not alone.
Yep.
And that's one of the major things of a lot of things, you know.
Well, you're definitely not alone right now. You just shared with everybody. And I appreciate you doing that. You're a great friend. You're a great supporter of our family, and have gotten us through a whole lot of stuff when it probably wasn't convenient for you. And, you're a blessing to me, hopefully, or a small blessing to you likewise. And it's what relationships are all about. It's helping each other when they need it. And you're a good example of that right now. I'm glad that you're being used in a healthy way right now, even though you had to go through a lot of stuff. And really excited to see what happens in your future too.
Same to you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you.
Producer Skinny Rick Isaac, thanks. I'm assuming everything got recorded and it's all going to work, so well done. And thanks for City Church for hosting. You can catch us at For the Neglected. And thank you, Jason Bailey.
Thank you.
Have a good one, everyone. Peace.